Now then, and welcome back to Football Manager 17. My time at Wolves. Here we go. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the back office staff and players at Wolves and giving a good analysis of what I've found. Now, down on the board tab down here, there is a list of staff and what we currently have and what we have advised to have. And I've been going through this with a fine-tooth comb and checking it out and getting it all sorted. Within the first week of the game of being in charge with Wolves, I have sacked numerous people. I have sacked the coach Robert Edwards. I have sacked the data analyst John Boston. I have sacked the data analysis for the under-23s, Michael Bateman. I have sacked the chief scout, I've sacked the scout, Chris Badlam, and the chief scout, John Marshall. I've also sacked the under-23 sports scientist, Dave Morrison. Most of those were because the board didn't want them here. They wanted zero data analysis for the under-23s. I didn't want a data analysis for the main squad. And they didn't want some sports scientists for the under-23s either. I don't know what it is about the under-23s. I think it's because we share training facilities for most of it. And I had to then get myself a chief scout. The scouts that I sacked were just not very good. So I got myself a chief scout, and the chief scout is now Derek Langley. Now, Derek Langley was a non-contracted. He was unattached to any club. So I got him on a free transfer, as it were. And Derek Langley is quite the best at judging player potential in the game at 20. He used to be a scout for Manchester United for many years, by the looks of it. 1998 to 2016, he has been a scout for Manchester United, and then he just became available. So I've snapped him up and made him my chief scout at Wolves. Just look at the stats though. 17 and 20. He's got an 18 we're working with youngsters and a 19-man management. He is built for the job. The only scouting knowledge he had was England, however, but we have managed to cover that in other areas. For instance, George Rooney. George Rooney, he only has English, but he's got a good stats there, probably the best stats I could get for free, and his wage is only $450 per week. He's been a scout for quite a few years. He's even been a manager of Worcester. So he's got good knowledge of England, but that wasn't why I got him. I got him because of his stats for being able to see player potential. For knowledge of an areas, look at this guy. Torben, I can't even pronounce his second name, something Danish, I think. He's got all the knowledge of Denmark, England, Finland, Germany, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, basically all of Scandinavia. He knows his stuff. He was also a scout at Manchester United. So I don't know what happened in the game, or whether something happened when Jose Mourinho took over Manchester United, that they scrapped all the regular scouts that he'd had for ages. But he's a good scout, and he's got a lot of knowledge of a lot of areas, which was very good for me as well. And Russell West was just another general scout for general duties that has been the Wolves data analysis for a while. He was a data analyst, and instead of just sacking him, I decided to give him a promotion to a scout so that he stayed within the company. He's only 24 years old. He's earning not too much. He's earning £1,000 a week, which in the grand scheme of how scouts are functioning and all that cost is only half the cost of the decent scouts that I've got. So we've got those guys. We've got one chief data analyst that I kept, Phil Boardman. And the scouts now have, I've basically got 4 scouts, the chief scout and 3 other scouts, and a lot of knowledge of the area. If we look at my scouting knowledge, we've got a lot of knowledge of all sorts of areas, almost all the knowledge in Scandinavia all sorted. And just recently, Torben has been sent to scout Denmark. He's scouting Scandinavia for players. I'm also looking for a first-team defensive midfielder, but we get to that in a bit because I've been analysing that quite a lot. And Derek Langley has already been putting together reports on all of the people, all of the stars he knows in England, and he's picked up 153 reports already in the first 9 days of him being in charge, which is pretty awesome. So with my scouting staff all situated and sorted, I've got everything I think I need, really. I don't want too much because scouting costs can get quite ridiculous. I think I only really need 4 scouts available to me for scouting purposes, and they can have general assignments and also react to anything that I want and demand straight away. So I'm happy with my scouting force, and they're pretty good at reading player potential as well, so I like that. My coaching team, I filled my coaching team out, and I'm pretty pleased with how I've filled it out. Just look at my coaching team comparison here. We have the best goalkeeper coaches in the league. We have the best defending coaches in the league, the best attacking coaches in the league, the best mental coaches in the league, the best technical coaches in the league, the best tactical coaches in the league, and nearly the best man management coaches in the league. Fitness, though, not so good. I'm not so sure why fitness is not so good, because we've got a good couple of trainers, as it were. My assistant manager was one of the first things that I got towards my coaching staff, because the assistant manager helps out in quite a lot of areas. He'll basically help me to coach everybody within the main squad and the under 23s, I believe. And he is Michael Lindemann, and his stats for fitness, 19 for fitness, good for determination, good for discipline and motivating, which is what you need to be a fitness coach. It's what you need to be a fitness coach, so he's got very good stats for being a fitness coach. He also has good knowledge of Holland and a little bit of Australia as well, and a little bit of England, which added towards my scouting knowledge quite considerably. He was the assistant manager at Fulham up until a few years ago, and he's been unemployed since, so I got him on a free for only £2,600 per week. He's got a good reputation, and I can't believe that he was going so cheaply, really. Also, to make matters even better, he's got the same preferred formation as me, the same mentality as me. He's a fitness coach, which is good. We needed one of those. Pressing style, he's got standoff, whereas I prefer to press a lot more. And his second preference formation is also one of the formations that I've picked. So overall, he's got 2 formations that I'm using, and his attacking mentality is good, and he's a good fitness coach as well for the whole team. So I like a lot. The other ones that we got Darren Ryan was from the under-18s, and I just upped him a little bit to help out with the coaching of the seniors. Paul Scholes was on a free. Paul Scholes, the legend of Manchester United. He's been a player of Manchester United and a coach at Manchester United for a long time, but for some reason he must have got sacked or finished up in 2014, and so I couldn't resist picking him up. I am a fan of Manchester United, and I have been since the 1986 FA Cup. And I've seen through Roy Atkinson and Alex Ferguson and the one that we'll choose to forget, and Jose Mourinho also now. But now I've managed to get Paul Scholes to join Wolves as a coach, and his technical and attacking coaching meant that he is a very, very good shooting coach, which is awesome. He's also got lots of determination and discipline and a fair amount of motivation as well. So I'm really pleased to have him on board as one of my coaches. And actually, he was pretty cheap as well, because he's only £2,000 a week, which is pretty cheap for coach's sake. Who else do we get? We got Arthur Albiston, who was just another coach, really. He's okay, but he's just another coach. He's there to help with the workload. Zat Knight, another coach, but a cheap coach at £650 per week. He actually wanted to be the under-18s coach, and I said, no, I will need somebody else to help with the workload on the seniors. Seniors. That sounds like they're old, doesn't it? The first team coach. We've also got Alan Stewart, who is a fitness coach, and he's a pretty good fitness coach as well, really. He's only got 10, but he's good at motivation and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's why we're not top of the league. I think the motivating was the thing that got to me. I thought, motivation, that's the need for fitness, motivating them to be fit. And he's been a fitness coach for quite a while, it looks like. So he's got good overall knowledge. And I got him on a free transfer. And he's only earning £1,500 a week. So that was a good deal overall for me. Pat Mountain was already the goalkeeping coach for Wolves, so we kept him on. And Gareth Proser is the head of youth development. He will also help with the coaching of the under-18s. So we've got quite a few coaches, but if we have a look at my training, I'm pretty pleased with how they all set up and lay out. And it's taken me a little while to get to this stage, but it's here now, and I'm glad of it. Myself, I am Nemson the boss, and I am very good at tactics and defence. If I do one or the other, it's 5 stars. If I do both, it's 4 stars in each. So we've got Alan Stewart, the fitness coach, doing strength. We've got Michael Lindemann doing aerobic at 4.5 stars. And aerobic covers pace, agility and balance and all that kind of cool stuff that makes a big difference in the game, so I'll put him in charge of that. Then there's me on tactics. We've got Scott Sellers, the under-23s manager, which we kept on. He's only a 3-star ball control, but he helps out with the training. Myself doing the defensive training. Then we've got Darren Ryan, who is a coach that we also kept on for Wolves, a 3-star attacking coach. We've got Paul Scholes as a 4-star shooting coach. We've got Pat Mountain from Wolves again, 3.5-star shot-stopping coach. And we've got Alid Williams, who is the under-23s goalkeeping coach at 3.5 stars. Now, one thing I learned was that the seniors, the senior club and the under-23 clubs share a training ground. So therefore, they share training coaches. So assistant manager, the manager, the assistant manager, the manager of the under-23s and the assistant manager of the under-23s, if there was one, but I haven't employed one yet. The fitness coaches, the goalkeeping coaches, the under-23s goalkeeping coach, all contribute to training the first team and the under-23s, the reserves. But not all of them contribute towards the under-18s. And my senior coaches, Paul Scholes, Arthur Albston and Zat Knight, don't contribute to the under-18s, but they do for both the first team and the under-23s. And all I've done here is to make the workload as light as possible. I've just added these 2 coaches in and just spread them out, so they're being involved in all areas to make the workload for the main coaches a lot less. Average is okay, light would be better, and I do still have space for an under-23s assistant manager that could come in and create light training in the general skills, which would be good, which would be very good. So then on to the under-18s coaching, and the under-18s manager, Jerry Gill, I kept him on. He has good stats for fitness and also defence, 3.5 stars in aerobic. We've got Alan Stewart, the fitness coach. He's allowed to coach every player at the club, so he's on a 3.5 there as well, which is a good thing. We've got Scott Sellers, the under-23s manager. He's allowed to help out, so he's doing shooting training, as Paul Scholes is not allowed to help the under-18s. We've got myself, who's doing tactics training at 5-star tactics for the under-18s, because I don't need to do the defence as well. We've got Gareth Proser, who is the head of youth development, and this is where he can help train, and he's training ball control there. Mark Campbell, who's the under-18s coach, is training in the attacking. So we've got all the coaches there. We've got the same 2 goalkeeping coaches training the same 2 areas in goalkeeping. And then I've got Sean Parrish, who is the under-18s assistant manager, just making the workload a little bit lighter for everybody. So this is all light workload. Now, over time, I would hope to increase these so that they end up being something like 5 stars each. At least 4 stars each as we go. But for now, I didn't want to make too many staff changes. It already felt like I'd done a lot, and I'm quite pleased with the overall results. So while I was making all the staff changes, just to make sure that everything was going well, I set up a basic formation, which I believe was the 4-2-3-1 formation. My favoured formation for an attacking formation. And I just put the squad in there just so they'd be training in a formation while I was busy sorting all the staff out and sorting all the fitness training and all the coaching side of things out. I had them just sort of sitting back and just enjoying their time with me. And I've been checking out the squad just recently, but I did pick my tactics of what I want to do. So I've got 3 tactics, and I've named them so they're easy to remember, but I'll go through them quickly with you. We've got a tactic I've called Mountain Wolf, and it's because it looks a bit like a mountain. And Mountain Wolf, because we're wolves, so each one has got a name. There's Grey Wolf, Timber Wolf, and the Mountain Wolf. I'll start with Mountain Wolf and just quickly explain, but then we'll look a bit more at the squad members and how I've managed to mix them in and out between the different formations. So I can use these 3 different formations depending on the style of play I want, and it's also rotating the squad at the same time. So every player on the roster gets a time to play and a time to shine in their own formation, and it worked out very nicely. But we'll talk about all the squad in a second. The first then, the Mountain Wolf, set out as the mountain of defence. A mountain of defence for the opponent to overcome is meant to be a very, very hard to break down defensive formation. And in that defensive formation, we then lob long balls over the attackers. We maintain continuous stress and pressure from the opponent for games that we're likely to lose if we don't defend really hard and really solid and really well. So for games where we are not the favourite, for games where we are likely to lose if we don't defend, I've got the mountain of defence. So there's basically going to be 6 players in solid defence, and the midfielder is also going to be the box-to-box midfielder, which is somebody over here. Where's he gone? It's changed slightly. Hang on, let me just change it to Mountain Wolf. There we go. So yeah, but this player here, Prince Onlangu, or just Prince for short, is a box-to-box midfielder. And the box-to-box midfielder enables him to contribute greatly to both defending and attacking. In attack, he pushes up to support the forwards, often surging late into the box to get on the end of a cross, and pulls back, as well as providing a threat from a distance. In defence, he harries the attacking midfielders and helps protect the defensive line. So again, he's like the first line of defence, and he will also become part of a 4-man attack on the quick attack when we're sending the counter-attack. So this is a counter-attacking mentality, but highly structured so that their defence is solid all the time. And we're just going to hope for lobbing the ball out far up pitch, one of our guys to hopefully grab hold of it, and then these speedy forwards, the attacking left and the attacking right midfielders are super pacey, and they should be able to whip it in for a cross to get Bodvarsson, who is the target man, in on goal, or go in on goal themselves, or set up the box-to-box midfielder, the prince of the midfield, in order to score some goals on the counter-attack. Very important strategy for when I have games that I think I could lose. The middle tactic we'll get back to in a second. The final tactic, Timber, is Timberwolf. The Timberwolf tactic is my strongest attacking force. Timber Wolf. So I'm just going to chop them down and score lots of goals. I'm just going to keep hacking at them with goal opportunity after goal opportunity. I've still got a solid defence, but the defenders on the full back side, on the wings, will come up to help push forwards and force the attack. And my midfielders are also attack orientated. So I'll end up with a 8-man attacking force, while the 2 solid centre-backs sit back, and the wingers will drop back into defence as they need to. This is for games where I believe I'm the stronger team, and I believe we're going to win. That is the most attacking formation that I've got, the Timberwolf. Now, we've got the games that we're going to lose if we're not careful in Mountain Wolf. We've got the games that we're going to win in Timberwolf. And then there's the grey area in between. The area that we don't know whether we're going to win or lose. We're not predicting a win or a loss. We don't know. We need to adapt quickly to the change of the pace of the game. So the grey area is covered by the Grey Wolf. Oh yes, I come up with 3 awesome Wolves names for my formations. I know, I'm a genius. Mountain Wolf, Grey Wolf and Timber Wolf. Grey Wolf employs a defensive midfielder instead of a centre attacking midfielder. And the similar sort of defenders with the ability to run up the field and support the attack, but also the extra man at the back for the extra defence. And of course, the midfielders are also ball-winning midfielders, so they're good at reclaiming the ball and recycling it back into the attack. So I've got 3 solid formations that I'm happy with, and I have also managed to make sure that every player in the squad gets opportunity to be rotated through these 3 different formations. Hopefully it'll work out like that in the season. But let's have a look at the players. So scanning through the list of the first team, the main squad, the Wolves team themselves, I've got 4 injuries, which is unfortunate. But these are actually long-term injuries as well. 4 weeks to 2 months. We've got an injury 8 to 9 months. We've got an injury 4 to 6 months. We've got an injury that's 6 to 8 months. So I had to basically plan to use those 4 players later on in the season and make the most of everybody else I've got who is able to kick a ball right now. In general, the abilities, we've got a 4. We've got a few 3.5s, quite a few 3.5s, lots and lots of 3s, and just a few 2.5s going on 3s. But checking the stats of the 2.5 stars, they are still very good at what they do. So they're still getting used in the rotation of my squad. And surprisingly, Silvero, our top ability fullback, is being used as a substitute in almost every single one of my formations. And the reason I'm using him as a substitute, he is a very, very good winger. He's not the fastest winger, so therefore he's not the best at using the counter-attack strategy. He's not the most... he's a decent defensive winger, so he can be used in the defensive strategies. So he can be used in both attack and defence, but he's not the best at attack and he's not the best at defence. He's a very good, general, well-rounded and very good well-rounded wing-back or left or right defender. He's actually very good on the left or the right in defence as a full-back. So he's good on both sides of the pitch. He's good in the attacking and the defending side of things. He's even got crossing 13, so he's a very, very good player. It's a very, very good player. His preferred moves gets forward whenever possible as well. He is my best fullback, both left and right. He is my best fullback. He is my only wingback that can push up and be a wingback as well. But the fact that he can do both sides of the pitch left me with a bit of a dilemma. And so I chose to use him as my super sub instead of using him as the starter. So I'm putting him on the subs bench for the first half of almost every match. But he's in the subs of every single formation. So I can use him to replace any weak or underperforming fullbacks and potentially turn the tide of my strategy to win the game just from being a super sub coming on at half time. And the reason for that was, well, yeah, I've got these guys here. I've got 2 defensive rights. One's a fullback with attack and one's a defensive fullback with defend. So when I'm playing my defensive formations, I'm playing a defensive fullback. When I'm playing my attacking formations, I'm playing an attacking fullback. And this guy, Dominic, his speed, pace 16, acceleration 17, dribbling 14. He's good at marking and tackling as well. He's very good at teamwork and he's got a huge work rate with lots of stamina. So he's ideal for going forwards on the main run. He's also a hot prospect because his potential is actually 4 stars, but he's only a 3. So the more playing time I give him, the more ability he's going to gain and the better he'll become. But if I run him out for the first half of all the games and then bring Silvero on in the second half, he will have done his job and got some play time as well, which is good. But I've got two, one for attacking and one for defending. As for the left back, which is Silvero's other option, we've only really got Borthwick Jackson, who is a fullback with support. Now, I then took a little while thinking, well, Silvero must be the fullback on the left that I'm going to use. But no. I've found Courtney Horse. Courtney Horse is a very fast 14-14, very good with teamwork and stamina, and his crossing leaves a little to be desired with a 10. But then I looked at his positioning and marking and tackling and heading skills, his jumping reach of 15 and his heading of 13, his tackling of 13 and his marking of 13, and the fact that he prefers to be a defensive fullback led me to believe that he was going to be a good left back in the defensive strategy that I was employing. So he is now a left back defensive fullback in the same way as Matt Doherty is, and then Borthwick Jackson is the fullback with the support, crossing, attacking side of things. Meaning Silvero again didn't have a place in the first team other than being the super sub, who can replace any of these fullbacks whenever I decide and potentially change the pace of the game for me. So there's my left backs and my right back sorted out. Mike Williamson is injured and he is an awesome defensive centre back. Which left me with not many other options. Danny Bath and Richard Stearman, two very good defenders, a ball-playing defender, which you don't see very often, able to lob the ball up pitch, clear it, but not just clear it, he launches it through the defence deep into counter-attacking opportunities. And then we've got a good, straightforward defensive centre-back who will get the ball and lob it out. He also happens to be my captain as well. So those two are just like the solid centre-backs. And I've always got Courtney as a spare centre-back in case we have any problems with either of those two. He can come on as a sub or even as a reserve for them, and Silvero can take his place on the left-back. We've only got one defensive midfielder. Mountain Wolf requires two defensive midfielders. Now there's a couple of midfield centres that are okay to fill the role of defensive midfielder, but have already begun scouting for a defensive midfielder. Sass, as I like to call him, is my ball-winning midfielder in support, and he's a 3.5 star, so he's a pretty good at what he does. Every player is pretty good at what they do in this team. I quite like it. It's very good. So yeah, I've got another defensive midfielder to find, and hopefully I'll find that during the pre-season so that all my squad's working perfectly. But that is literally the only player that I'm looking for. Unless I have many injuries, which could happen. I'm going to be fine as a team with just one more defensive midfielder, and I would like him to be another star player for the defensive side of things. He would also then be Sass's sub, or maybe even better than Sass if I can help it. Or the two of them will work together in the Mountain Wolf formation. In the midfield, we've basically got the box-to-box midfielder for when he's playing midfield on his own, and then I've got the two midfielders, a ball-winning midfielder and a central midfielder, Cody and Price, who are going to be the majority of the time. Those two are going to be two midfield centres side by side, winning the balls and popping the balls up forward and taking shots at goal, whereas Prince will only be seen during the Mountain Wolf formation, where he'll be running box-to-box, being the defender or the attacker, depending on whether we're counter-attacking. Then we've got the attacking midfield. We've got quite a cool attacking midfield as well. Very pacey, very awesome at crossing. They're all very good. We've got 3 attacking rights, 3 attacking lefts. One of the attacking rights is currently on loan because he's not as good as the other two, which leaves me with 2 attacking rights to choose from, which is good. And then we've got one of the attacking lefts is injured, out for 8 to 9 months, which left me with 2 attacking left midfielders, which again is very good, so I can alternate between them. And they do have all of the same main benefits, except the fact that Ola John is an attacking-minded winger, so taking shots at goal himself, and Jordan Graham, who is currently injured, Jordan Graham is also an attack-minded one. Carvalho is just amazing. He's just super speedy. He's a star player. We've got a pace of 17, an acceleration of 16, and a crossing of 14. He's dribbling 15. He's even able to shoot at 12. He's got a good first touch. He's good at long shots. He's good at passing. He's got excellent technique and work rate. He's got a good stamina. He's just a very, very good player. He's only 3.5 stars overall, but I don't know why. His potential is actually where I think he should be right now, at 4.5 stars. He's worth 10.75 million, and he's not a star player according to this. He is a key player in the squad, and he's an awesome winger. He can play both wings as well. He can play winger on both wings, which is very good as well. He can also play the inside forward on the left wing, which is interesting, and I might make use of that sometime. But then Costa. Helder Costa is my other main winger. Another pace, 17, acceleration 15, 13 crossing, 15 dribbling, 13 touching, and 12 passing, 14 technique, a good 13 work rate and 13 stamina. He's another very, very good winger. Those are my two best wingers, and they're going to be playing most of the counter-attacking and general attacking formations, whereas the other two will come on for the all-out attack formations when I've got lots of support from the midfield and the wingers coming up. So they don't need to be quite as fast, and they don't need to be quite as pacey, and they don't need to dribble so much. They can pass a bit more and shoot a lot more. So I'm hoping that that's going to work out for me, and it's also a good rotation for all the left and right attacking midfielders. Then we had the centre midfielders. The attacking centre midfielders, we have got one here as a shadow striker. And a shadow striker is the main attack. He's like a striker that sits back a little bit and then comes out of nowhere and hits those crosses into the back of the net. And he works best with a deep lying forward. So Paul and David are going to be working together as a team in the Timberwolf control system that I've got going on, where the attacking midfielder is going to be feeding balls to the deep lying forward and vice versa to try and score goals down the centre, while the super fast wingers are going to be putting in crosses to both of them, let's hope. And then there's Texelix. I don't pronounce the name. He is a good attacking midfielder support. So I've got him down as being in there for a substitute in the Grey Wolf formation, so that I can just change it up. If I feel like I'm getting the upper hand, I can maybe take the defensive midfielder off and bring in the attacking midfielder instead, and add a little bit more goal-scoring opportunities. And then striker-wise, we've got Joe Mason, who likes the false 9 formation, and I've brought him in for Grey Wolf so that he can play all over the field up in the final third and just try and find ways and means to get in and score goals. We've got Bod Varson, the target man. He's going to be in the Mountain Wolf formation so that they can have a target to shoot these long balls at. And unfortunately, Dicko is injured, out for 4 weeks to 2 months. But he is a complete forward, which basically fills all of those criteria altogether, and he's going to be a star forward when he's back to full fitness. I think I've got a very good squad, a very, very, very good squad, and I'm enjoying looking through it all. So that was a very in-depth look at my backroom staff, my coaches, and my squad, and my tactics for the season. Hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're subscribing. I hope you're leaving likes. I will be now looking for what I can spend my £4 million transfer budget on when I only need one defensive midfielder. The chances are that in the pre-season, which will be in the next episode, I will be hunting for hot prospects to add to my under-23 squad that will be coming through the ranks and developing ready for first-team action maybe next season. and also that they will be able to use as backups in case I have a wave of injuries for my first team. But that's all I've got time for today's episode. I think I've waffled on long enough. Thank you very much for watching. Episodes will be shorter from now on, no doubt. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.